Harry Wilson stars again as Fulham beat 10-man Crystal Palace. Harry Wilson came off the bench and made it 3 goals in 2 Premier League games to consign 10-man Crystal Palace to a 2-0 defeat at Selhurst Park. Emile Smith-Rowe, born in nearby Thornton Heath, opened the scoring 2 minutes into first-half stoppage time and had a second chalked off after the restart. Oliver Glasner's already depleted squad held strong but were dealt a significant blow when Daichi Kamada was sent off for a poor challenge in the 76th minute. Wilson, who scored a game-winning stoppage-time brace on Monday against Brentford, cushioned the Cottagers' lead with his first touch in the 83rd minute. Glasner's options were severely limited as a result of a spate of injuries to key talent including Eberechi, Jefferson Lerma, Adam Wharton and Chadi Riyad, and Eddie Nketiah joined them on the sidelines this week with a hamstring issue, with Will Hughes also serving a 1-game suspension after picking up 5 yellow cards. The Austrian handed Northern Ireland under-21s midfielder Justin Devaney his Palace debut and first Premier League start. Marco Silva travelled with a near-fully fit squad, including former Eagle Joachim Andersen, marking his return to Selhurst Park for the first time since signing with the Cottagers this summer. There was an early attempt from Raúl Jiménez, directed wide, and sliding save by Dean Henderson to deny Reece Nelson and a timely intervention by summer signing Maxence Lacroix to nullify Fulham's threat. Palace enjoyed a brief spell deep in Fulham's half, but Jean-Philippe Mateta's effort took a deflection and Marc Guéhi, who started in central midfield, nodded wide. Clear-cut chances remained elusive until a big save from a leaping Henderson to deny Alex Iwobi. In space and with time to line up his shot, the hosts were inches away from an opener when Bernd Leno spilled his save from Mateta's stooping header. But the Frenchman was denied a goal by his former teammate when Anderson swept in to clear off the line. Smith-Rowe fired Fulham in front just as the Eagles looked to be growing into the game. Lacroix, looking to play out from the back, instead allowed Smith-Rowe to easily swoop in and steal possession, playing a 1-2 with Jimenez before firing past a diving Henderson, who looked to get a hand on it. Glasner moved his men around after the restart. Guéhi returned to a more familiar position, and while Smith-Rowe thought he had bagged a 52nd-minute brace, the goal was chalked off for offside following a VAR check. Henderson took a close-range Andreas Pereira shot off his head, soon after tipping another attempt from the Brazilian over the bar before Jimenez volleyed over. On came Cheick Doucouré for Palace, still making a gradual return to full fitness as the Cottagers continued to pile on the pressure but were unable to extend their advantage despite several decent chances. The hosts were clinging on, but went down to 10 men after Kamada was sent off for a poor studs-up tackle on Kenny Tet and seemed to immediately accept his fate. Another goal seemed inevitable, and it came from the man who inspired Fulham to a dramatic stoppage-time comeback on Monday night. Wilson, who had just come off the bench, was released by Iwobi and fired the Cottagers' second under Henderson. He had the ball in the back of the net again in stoppage time, but VAR chalked off Wilson's would-be second for a handball.
Brentford clinch 5-goal thriller against Bournemouth. Yoane Wissa made it 7 goals for the season as his brace helped Brentford bounce back from Monday's collapse at Fulham and beat Bournemouth 3-2 at the GTEC Community Stadium. The Bees needed a response after Fulham's Harry Wilson scored twice in second-half added time to stun them in the Premier League last time out, and after Evanilson took advantage of a Sepp van den Berg error to give the Cherries an early lead. Wissa's header brought parity in West London. Justin Kluivert's finish from inside the 6-yard box saw Bournemouth go ahead once more after the break. But a Brentford double from Mikkel Damsgaard and Wissa's second put the match to bed. Bournemouth had their hosts penned inside their own half in the opening stages as Andoni Iraola's men, who deployed Milos Kerkez as an inverted left-back, dominated possession with the extra man in the central areas prior to their 17th-minute opener. Brentford seemed to be shackled by Monday's late defeat as they succumbed to Bournemouth's pressure, with Van den Berg gifting Evanilson an early goal, as Thomas Frank's side turned the ball over on halfway. Van den Berg tried to alleviate pressure by playing back to keeper Mark Flekken, but his weak pass was pounced upon by the diligent Brazilian who simply rounded Flekken to tap home for 1-0. Brentford's tactics were by no means pretty. They struggled to find combinations up top and they resorted to their long throw tactic in a bid to find an equaliser. Matthias Jensen's launched ball was flicked on in the area and, despite Bournemouth's appeals for handball, Wissa was left free to head past the rooted keeper Arrizabalaga, 27. Bailing Van den Berg out for his earlier mistake, Bournemouth went back ahead 4 minutes after the break, executing a well-worked move off a corner to retake their lead. The Cherries played it short and, after they played it out to Lewis Cook on the edge of the area, an intricate reversed pass through the defence to Kluivert saw the Dutch winger produce a placed finish inside of the right post for 2-1. Brentford had beaten Ipswich 4-3 in a 7-goal thriller in their last home match, and Saturday's action looked to be going in a similar direction when they instantly snatched a goal for the game's fourth. 8-goal Brian Mumo found Damsgaard on the right, and despite the acute angle, his drilled 50th-minute effort caught out the poorly positioned Kepa for the leveller. Brentford had been far from their best, but they boast quality finishers in their ranks, including the clinical Wissa, who grabbed his brace to put his side in the ascendancy for the first time. Wissa held his line and was slipped in by Vitaly Janelt before a deft chip lobbed Kepa for 3-8 minutes after the equaliser. Brentford avoided another late scare in stoppage time as Bournemouth hit the bar, allowing the hosts to see out proceedings for 3 points.
Jose Mourinho fined and banned for comments on Turkish referees. Jose Mourinho has been handed a one-match ban and been fined almost £15 for his response to Fenerbahce's dramatic 3-2 Super League victory at Trabzonspor. The Portuguese, who took a tumble as he attempted a celebratory knee slide on the final whistle in Sunday's game, was charged with unsportsmanlike behaviour towards opposing team fans, and diminishing the value of Turkish football and discrediting the impartiality of the referees and other match officials, during an outspoken post-match interview. In a statement, the Turkish Football Federation revealed Mourinho had been punished with prohibition of access to the dressing room and bench for one official game, and fined 58.500 Turkish lira, around £1.300, and a further 600.00 Turkish lira minus £13.50 for his hurtful remarks, with the latter punishment reduced from 900.00 Turkish lira. In his interview, the former Chelsea, Real Madrid and Manchester United boss, who had seen the home side awarded 2 penalties, took aim at VAR Attila Karaoğlan and said, "I know what I was told even before I came. I didn't believe. It is even worse than I was told. It's more difficult because we play against our opponents. Good opponents like Trabzonspor are. But we play against the system. And to play against the system is the most difficult thing." In addition to the sanctions imposed on Mourinho, Fenerbahce Vice President Akun İlkali, the owner of Sky Bet Championship Hull, was fined 400.00 Turkish lira, around £9, for unsportsmanlike remarks. In a lengthy statement published on Fenerbahce's website, İlkali described the officiating as a complete scandal and claimed the match had been massacred by the VAR.
Ruud van Nistelrooy looking to end Man United caretaker stint on high against Foxes. Ruud van Nistelrooy believes momentum is beginning to change for the better at Manchester United and cannot afford to go off track against Leicester in his final match as interim manager. Parachuted into the hot seat following Erik ten Hag's exit, the popular former striker oversaw a 5-2 win against the Foxes as the Red Devils progressed to the Carabao Cup quarter-finals. A 1-1 league draw with Chelsea followed before Thursday's 2-0 Europa League victory against PAOK. With his 4-match stint in the Old Trafford hot seat coming to an end on Sunday, Ruben Amorim is taking over as head coach the following day, and Van Nistelrooy wants to hand over fresh from securing another victory against Leicester. This time in the Premier League. "It's a results game in the end, and I think the last 3 results were okay," said the caretaker boss, who is keen to work under the 39-year-old Portuguese, having returned to United in the summer as an assistant. "We're through in the Carabao Cup. We're in the quarter-finals there. It was a good point against Chelsea where we felt we deserved more. And also an important win in the Europa League to get us settled higher up in that table to go through to the next round in January hopefully. So, I think that momentum is changing a little bit. But of course Sunday is also a competition where we need to do better than we're doing. So, as in the Carabao, where we needed to go to the next round and do good business in the Europa League with a win. That Sunday and that game is very important in that sentiment. I think overall, it was very important after I took over to stabilize the ship with results. And all of a sudden we're 3 games further in that and it passes so quickly. The last one. Yeah. That's the one also where it will mean a lot. Sunday could end up being Van Nistelrooy's second Old Trafford send-off. But he is keen to stay on with a club he would one day like to manage on a permanent basis. The 48-year-old says he has gained a lot from his time in temporary charge, building on his solitary season at PSV that ended with the 2022-2023 Dutch Cup and a second-placed Eredivisie finish. "I've enjoyed it," Van Nistelrooy said. "It gave a lot of energy.
I think the reaction of the players was outstanding.
I think also as an assistant you are quite close to players. So, the past 3 months I spent a lot of time with the players and got to know them very well. As human beings but also as football players. Where they are in their development and how I can help, and I think that relationship is helping now. That we are together and we want to achieve something together. So that bond is there, that's what I feel. Very supported."
So that gives a lot of energy, and the support of the fans obviously was amazing.
That gives also lots of confidence and energy. So far so good.
Thank you so much for watching the video. Your support truly means a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more content. Your time and feedback are greatly appreciated.